Hello everybody, welcome to Analog Communications subject. Presently we are in second year, second semester. One of the core subject in our department in our ECE is Analog Communications, which is the basics of any communication topic. Starting from signals and systems, we will be studying many more subjects like signals and systems, and then analog communications, and then the continuation of digital communications, and so on. We will be studying all the subjects. Let us see what are the course outcomes of this analog communications subject. So in this we will understand and compare different amplitude modulation techniques. What are the different amplitude modulation techniques which we will study in the coming chapters. Analyze the performance of different types of angle modulation techniques. So we will be studying about what is modulation, what are the different types of modulation, how do we perform modulation, and all those things. Analyze and design the transmitter and receiver systems required for different modulation types. In order to perform modulation, we need some transmitters, and in order to perform demodulation, we need some receivers. So basic blocks of communication system are transmitters and receivers. So what are the parameters to design the transmitter, what are the parameters to design the receiver, how do they perform, and we need to analyze and design the transmitters and receivers. Calculate the signal to noise ratio in different modulation techniques. Here the SNR stands for signal to noise ratio in different modulation techniques. What is the SNR in amplitude modulation, SNR in angle modulation techniques and all. Simulate and conduct experiments using hardware on different types of analog communication subsystems. We will also have a laboratory session for this subject in which we will practically implement the analog communications topics like the amplitude modulation, angle modulation, all those topics we will be performing practically. We will be learning practically also the particular topics. Welcome back to analog communications subject. In the previous topics we have seen about what is modulation. Starting from basics of communication, how do we used to communicate with each other in earlier days. From then we came up to today's present day communication topics. All these things we have studied, and basics of communication techniques means what is modulation, how do we do, what are the different types of modulation we have, how do we perform modulation, all those things with respect to equations also we have derived and we have analyzed the subject. So now we will see a type of modulator which is nothing but a square law modulator. We will see about a square law modulator. What is meant by modulation? We have seen in the previous classes that modulation is nothing but changing the characteristics of a carrier signal with respect to the message signal. So now as we are studying about amplitude modulation topic, we will analyze what is amplitude modulation. Amplitude modulation is nothing but changing the amplitude of the carrier signal with respect to the message signal's amplitude. That is called as amplitude modulation signal. So we know the notations. M of t stands for the message signal, whereas this one is nothing but C of t, that is the carrier signal. So in a square law modulator we have three major components. One is adder, this one is the first one, the second one is a non-linear device or a square law device, this is the second one, and a band pass filter, this is the third one. So there are three major components. One is adder, the second one is square law device, the third one is band pass filter. Three are the main components present in the square law modulator. So we know that adder in the sense which adds two components. What are the two components it will be adding? M of t and C of t. Nothing but V1 of t. The output of adder we will be representing with V1 of t. V1 of t is nothing but combination of M of t, addition of M of t and C of t, that is input message signal as well as carrier signal. We will be adding these two signals. So we have V2 of t, that is the output of a square law device or non-linear device. Here generally we take as a non-linear device. And hence the name also we can also see in many parts we will be seeing non-linear device or a square law device. Both are nothing but the same. The name itself is indicating it is a square law device. In the square law device we will be using a non-linear device like any diode or a transistor. So this is nothing but a square law device. And the third one is band pass filter. The output of square law device is nothing but V2 of t equal to K1 V1 of t plus K2 V1 square of t. So this is what is V2. Let's remember this has equation 1 and this has equation 2. Now let us see how do we do that. We know that output of the adder is V1 of t, nothing but m of t plus c of t. Output of the adder is m of t plus c of t. We already know that c of t is nothing but AC cos omega ct or 2 pi f ct, nothing but the same. So okay, for our convenience let us take it as pi fct. So this is v1 of t. This is equation 1 and v2 of t is nothing but, because as it is a square law device, that is a non-linear device, we have k1 v1 of t plus k2 v1 square of t. So we have, let us substitute v1 of t as this one. Let us substitute equation 1 in equation 2 and we get k1 m of t plus AC cos 2 pi fct plus k2 of m of t plus because v1 square of t. So this is what is the equation. Let us solve the equation. Let us expand the one. Okay, we'll just AC cos fct 2 pi fct plus, as we know it is in the form of a plus b whole square. Let us expand it, m of t square plus AC cos 2 pi AC square 2 pi cos 2 pi fct plus 2 into this one is the equation. Again let us multiply by k2 k2 into m of t square plus kt into plus two m of t this one. So let us take like equally components on one side, likewise k1 m of t plus, let us take the cos components onto the other side and remaining on one side. Plus k2 cos k1 AC cos 2 pi fct plus So we will be giving the entire thing to the band pass filter, which will be removing the unnecessary components from this equation. Like so, final output will be these terms will be removed from the band pass inside the band pass filter, and we'll be getting this. So we'll be getting this as the final equation. So with this, the square law modulator this is the final output one, that is V3 of t. So in a square law modulator we are having three major components. One is the adder, the second one is the square law device, and the third one is the band pass filter. So adder will be adding both the input signal as well as the carrier signal, whereas the square law device will be combining, the square law device will be modulating the signal, and then the band pass filter will be filtering the unnecessary components and giving the final output, that is S of t, or we can consider as V3 of t. So this is what is a square law modulator. Next thing is the detector, nothing but the demodulator. One type of demodulator we will study here is envelope detector. Envelope, in the sense, we all know that the output waveform of this amplitude modulation signal will be in this particular form. So this way, the amplitude modulated output form will be in this particular manner. So the purpose of a detector or a demodulator is to implement the demodulate the amplitude modulated signal and get the final output, that is the input message signal. So this is a circuit of an envelope detector. So here we are giving input S of t, that is the amplitude modulated signal. In the envelope detector we are having a diode D and a capacitor C. So here we will be having one more resistor called as source resistor, and this is the load resistor, source resistor and the load resistor. So for an envelope detector, in an envelope detector, during the positive half cycle of the input signal, that is during this half of the input signal, the diode will be in the forward bias and capacitor charges to its peak value. Capacitor gets charged and then peak value of the input. So whenever the signal is in the positive half cycle, whenever the signal's positive half cycle is coming, the diode will conduct and the capacitor will charge. So whenever the negative half cycle of the signal comes, like if you can see, whenever the negative half cycle comes, during the negative half cycle of the input signal, diode becomes in a reverse biased. As we all know that the PN junction diode will not conduct in the reverse bias, and see, the capacitor will discharge. The capacitor will discharge through the load resistor, slowly through the load resistor. So whenever the positive half cycle is coming, the capacitor will be charging because the diode is in the forward bias. So whenever the negative half cycle of the signal is coming, the capacitor discharges slowly. The capacitor gets discharged. So as a result, only half cycle of the AM signal will be appearing. As a result, As a result, we will be getting only positive half cycle. That is like this, and no negative signal will be coming, because only when the positive signal is coming, only when positive half cycle is coming, the diode is conducting, and hence we get only the positive cycle of the output signal. So this process continues until the next positive half cycle. So the capacitor gets charged whenever the positive half cycle is coming, and whenever the negative half cycle comes, the capacitor gets discharged to the load resistor, and again it gets charged when the positive half cycle comes again. So this way. So during this process it gets charged, and again during this process it gets discharged, charging and discharging, again charging and discharging. So as I am showing only the majority part, but the charging and discharging happens for every cycle. You can see there are many signals in this. So this way, charging and discharging, charging and discharging, charging and discharging. So this way the process happens, and finally the output after the load resistor, the final output will be in such a manner. So you can see this. This is the input for the output modulated signal, amplitude modulated signal. You can see the changes in the amplitude signal. So whenever this is given at the output side, will be having only the half wave rectified signal. Only half of the signal will be coming, no negative signal will be coming. So this way, if we join, as I mentioned in the previous one, it will be in this manner. It gets charged, discharged, again charging and discharging, charging and discharging, and so the peak values only will be visible at the output signal. So how do we select the time constant of the RC circuit? That is the resistor and the capacitor circuit. So the capacitor charges through the diode and resistor when diode is on. As we know, we have seen this. So we have seen this with the resistor, source resistor. So the diode is charged through the resistor and the diode only when the positive half cycle is on. Only when the positive half cycle is coming. That is, whenever the diode is in on condition, the capacitor gets charged. Again, when the diode is in off condition, the capacitor gets discharged. So capacitor charges through the diode and resistor when diode is on, and it discharges through the load resistor when the diode is off, when the diode is in off condition. So charging time constant should be short as compared to the carrier period, that is 1 by frequency of the carrier. The charging time must be very much short, because in order to change the carrier signal rapidly. So that is RS must be less than, the source resistor will be less than 1 by FC, that is frequency of the carrier signal. And discharging time constant should be long enough to ensure that C discharges slowly. Discharging has to be happening very slowly, because if discharging also happens very fast, if charging happens fast and discharging also very fast, so we can't get the we can't get the amplitude modulated output signal, modulating signal properly, and hence the discharging time must be long enough to ensure that is the capacitor discharges very slowly. 1 by FC is always less than load resistor into capacitor, RC circuit. That in turn 1 by omega, that is maximum modulating frequency. So with this we completed the chapter 1 of analog communication subject, and we'll be seeing some problems in the coming days regarding this. So let's have a quick recap of the chapter 1. In the chapter 1 we have seen what is communication and how do we use to communicate with each other from earlier days to nowadays, and later on we have seen what are the basic terminologies in communication, that is basic blocks in communication. What is a transmitter, receiver, channel, wired channel and a wireless channel. Whenever it is wireless channel, it is called as wireless communication, that is no physical contact between the transmitter and receiver. So in order to transmit the signal to longer distance, we have to modulate the signal. What is modulation? Changing the characteristics of carrier signal with respect to the input signal, that is modulation. After this particular modulation process, we have seen what is the need for doing modulation. We have seen them one by one, that is what is meant by multiplexing, what do you mean by mixing, multiplexing, what is meant by multiplexing, what is meant by antenna height, how do we reduce the height of that, and all these things we have seen necessary of need for modulation. And after that we have solved some equations related to the modulation concept, how do we modulate, and later on we have seen the types of modulations, and finally we have completed with two topics, that is a modulator circuit and a demodulated circuit. With this we completed chapter 1. In the next chapter we will see about what are the different types of amplitude modulation signal. Thank you.